Hi Mark, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good.
How's the mood in the camp? Because you're unbeaten in four, and it seems much more positive now.
Yeah, the mood's good. Uh, the mood's good. The mood's really, really focused, which is important. We know we've got a lot to do still, and we know we have to be focused to be like that. We're happy the run we've been on, but quickly we've got to get over that and focus on the next game. So, like always, we take the positives from games. We took a lot of positives from the point at Wickham, but quickly we have to get onto the next job in hand, which would be a really, really tough game against Portsmouth. So yeah, we're really, really focused towards that game.
You must be in good form. You've been nominated for Manager of the Month.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that, of course, but like anything, that's recognition for the team of what the team have been doing over that period. The team on the pitch, the players, the staff around it. So it's a collective nomination, I'd say, for that. So it's pleasing, and it says we're in good form. So we've got to keep that going.
How much have the new players just given the side a bit more of a boost? And Mag Homer, Lecco, now Stewart's in there, Kai. They've it took them a little bit of time to settle in, but now they have done it. It seems to have lifted the team.
Well, I think that was our ultimate aim in a transfer window, to make those additions to make us stronger. We're fully aware that when players come into the team, particularly in a difficult position we're in, it takes time. But we're starting to see the benefits of those players joining the squad now. It really, really is, and that combined with Dean Lewington coming back from injury as well, that's a big plus for us. So yeah, it's good to see, but that was always our intention, that we wanted to strengthen in the January window with good players who we felt could really benefit our team, and it's nice that we're starting to see that now.
And Anthony Stewart, that was kept nice and quiet, but I mean, you must have been pleased with how he did last weekend.
Yeah, listen, we were still. It wasn't a case of me keeping it back. We were still addressing how he was throughout the week, and when a player's coming back from injury like that, you don't want to put too much pressure on him. But he was really, really keen to play and put himself out there, and we had no doubts from a medical point of view that he would kind of suffer any setbacks. So we were really, really pleased with how he was physically, and we felt he was ready to come and make an impact, and he certainly did in that game.
You got lots of good competition now, haven't you? Because Kai was obviously injured, so Tenai Watson moved to right wing back, and Stewart came in at the centre half. Tenai Watson has done really well, hasn't he, at centre back, of fitting into that back three. Yeah, I mean, he's some player, isn't he?
Yeah, we've been really pleased with how he's performed and how he's progressing. I speak to T all the time and tell him that, and I'm really, really pleasing with what he's doing, particularly when he was playing in a centre back position in a three. I feel he's got the attributes to play that position really, really well. When he can carry the ball out and be comfortable in defending in wide areas, but likewise to get him back into that familiar wing back position or full back area. We feel he can be really a real threat for us in that position. I mean, he was in positions where he was crossing and assisting, and within the system that we play, we want to encourage our wing backs to get in those attacking positions. Also do the defensive duties, which he can do, but also influence the game further up the pitch.
And for being so young, someone with that sort of footballing intelligence, I mean, he obviously has a bright future.
Yeah, and he's a tremendous player. He's still got a lot of growth in him as well to get better and improve. And I want to be part of improving him as a player, like with all the players in the squad. But no, he brings a lot to the team. He's brought a lot to the team over the past few games when we've been on this really, really positive run of results. But he's kind of one piece of the jigsaw fitting together to help us perform and produce collective performances, which has been really, really pleasing.
How is Sally Kai?
Yeah, he's picked up a slight strain. We're not sure when he actually did that, when he was away on international duty. But he's going to be probably missing for the next couple of games. But he's progressing really well. Sometimes when you're not so sure when he actually picked the injury up, because it was he kind of didn't realise straight away, then we have to be careful with it, and there's a certain time scale we have to work from. from that. So, it'd be fair to say we'll probably miss the next 2 games over the weekend.
We've seen Warren O'Hora back on the training grounds. It's obviously been a long-term injury, so you'll be treading carefully. But is there any time span on that one?
Not really. We've got to, he's back on the pitch and he's back doing the grass work, which is really, really good, because for him as well to be in and around the group in warm-ups, even if it's warm-up situation, it's really, really good, because again, he's a leader and he can help influence the group a little bit the more he gets involved. But we have to wait for a kind of a confirmation scan before we can, there's a time scale for that as well. So once he comes through that, then we can step his work up again. But again, he's been out for a long period of time, so we have to be so careful with it. But like with Dean Lewington and Anthony Stewart, and I'm sure with Sully as well, the medical staff and the physical staff have worked with the players superbly to get them back fit, and I'm sure that'll be the case with Warren as well.
You look at the MK Dons bench, it just looks stronger, doesn't it? You've got players back from suspension, you've got players back from injury. It's a good time to have quite a good fit squad. Yeah,
I feel apart from Sully there picking up that slight injury, we seem like we're getting stronger all the time, and that's a dilemma for me now that I've got a magnitude of players to choose from. So it's about choosing the right players who can impact the game in a certain way. And even when we look at the bench now, we've got substitutes there who can come on and really, really impact the game and continue us in the right way forward. So yeah, the squad's looking a lot healthier. There's challenges within that as well. But like I said before, after the Wycombe game, the lads are really, really focused and driving to stay in the team, to get in the team, but also support the team as well. So those attitudes are vital for this period of time.
7 games to go. You're 5 points above the relegation zone. A couple of wins might do it. I know you're not going to get too drawn onto that, but it's a much better position to be in.
It is, yeah. And we'd much rather be in this position than chasing the pack. I know there's an element of pressure which comes with that as well. We're not stupid, and we know that brings an element of pressure all the time. Every game it's ramped up, and the pressure and how we deal with that is important. But yeah, we'd much rather be in a position where we're in control of what we do. But we're having the same kind of mantra with the players. We're just kind of approaching every game on its own merits. We're not looking too far ahead. We're just looking at every game like we'll be looking at Portsmouth and how we can go out and get the 3 points in that game. We know it's going to be really, really difficult. We know that Portsmouth can pose a real threat to us, but we also know that we can pose a threat to our opponents as well. So we'll be looking to push forward and look to get the 3 points.
What's the challenge to the players? Is it just to try and step it up one more notch, because they've been getting increasingly a little bit better game by game? Is that kind of right? Let's try and do it one more for the next one.
I've been really complimentary of the players and the team. Of what they've been doing and how they've been performing in different ways, with the ball, against the ball, in situations like against Wycombe where we went a goal behind, where in previous games we've kind of crumbled a little bit. So we're now showing that resolve and that mental toughness to come back into games, which is really, really important. So I've been really complimentary that we're doing a lot of things well. Do I think we can get better? And yes, 100%. And we know as a group we've got more in the locker. And every day we're looking to improve on things and push and get better and better. So yeah, we're not going to rest on anything. We know we've done okay. We know we've put ourselves in a good position, but we know as a group of staff, as a group of players, as a group collectively, that we've got more in the locker as well.
And these 2 games over Easter, both sides pushing for playoffs. They're going to obviously be different challenges, but good footballing teams.
Good footballing teams. Again, playing for things. Portsmouth on a good run, trying to creep into that playoff position. Derby again, looking for promotion, a big club. So the 2 games we're really looking forward to. We've got kind of a lot of riding from our point of view at the other end of the table, but again they've got pressure as well. So it's how players deal with that pressure. And I think over the last 4 games and 4 weeks we've shown that we're in a good place to deal with that type of pressure, and it's important now we keep that going.
Nice one. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Mark, it's not often you get to speak to the previous sort of seat holder that you have here Dons last beat Portsmouth, and that's the fact that Dean Lewington managed the team last time Dons beat Portsmouth, and that was only a few weeks before it was over. Is it something you've been picking his brains about?
Well, listen, Skip is constantly involved with how we want to approach the game. Even on the training pitch, we have ideas and things like that, and he drives things. So yeah, of course you speak to players and you see how they're feeling and things like that. But we have a real approach of how we've gone into the last 4 games, and I think going away from that too much would be silly from us, because we're getting a good rhythm at the minute in how we play. Of course, every opposition pose different little threats of how we might have to adjust and do certain things. But certainly what we've been doing with the ball, with our shape and what have you, it's been positive. So we want to keep that going, and we just have to be mindful of certain little things, what Portsmouth might do differently to Wycombe, and we need to be ready to solve those situations.
And you spoke to Jeff just there about Warren O'Hora. You mentioned to us previously that he was potentially out for the rest of the season. I mean, is there an opportunity for him to potentially come in before the end? Without
putting no pressure on, I think that there'll be a window where he'll be back training fully with the squad. Whether he's in a physical position to do that without no risk is yet to be seen. We're unsure of that. But certainly if we find ourselves in that position, I know, he'll be a vital member and option for us to have. But again, there'll be no pressure from us to push Warren. He's certainly pushing himself, and I have to say he looks in great physical shape as regards to his body mass and things like that. He's been working really, really hard in the gym and on things like that, and so he's looking in good shape, and he's given himself every opportunity to kind of arrive into that window where he can train and he could potentially be available.
Which I suppose is stark contrast to a few weeks ago when we were talking about the number of centre-backs that you didn't have available, and now all of a sudden you're in that position whereby you can have one of your first choices, so to speak, but you don't have to rush him in.
Yeah, it's a good position for us to be in, and again, when ideally you don't want to rush. We probably had to do that a little bit, and there was a bit of a calculated risk with Dean Lewington, but he was ready to go. But again, it's credit to those players that they've done everything they can in their power to make sure the bodies are strong. They've done every part of their rehab. The staff have worked with them really, really closely. So there's an immense amount of credit needs to go to the players and the medical staff, that these players are coming back in such shape that they can go straight into games and last 90 minutes and look really, really strong. So yeah, great credit.
And just finally, slightly away from your football club, not far away, just a couple of miles down the road, Newport Pagnell Town. They're off to Wembley for a second time to defend the FA Vase. It's remarkable that a club of that size can get to Wembley not just once, but once again.
Yes, it's a great achievement. It's a fantastic achievement to get to a cup final at any level is a great achievement. But to be going to Wembley again as well, it's a great achievement. So yeah, my congratulations to them.
Nice one. Thanks so much, mate.
Cheers.
Hi, Mark. Mark, it's been a real tale of two Irishmen in terms of form this year for MK Dons. When you look at the form of Conor Michael Grant this year, contributing so much in terms of assists, in terms of your attacking play, but then the likes of Dara Burns has had his struggles this year, where Dara would have anticipated a real sort of good season at the start of the season. Things haven't really worked out for Dara this year. What do you think has gone wrong for Dara as such, and in the hindsight, Conor been blossoming in terms of his performances?
Yeah, I think both players fell into the category of kind of not being fully involved for a period of time. And like I always say to players, they always need to be ready. They need to understand what we want from our players as individuals and things like that. And Conor's a real positive example that he's stayed really focused, trained really well, and when his opportunity has come in recent games and recent weeks, he's really took that opportunity and he's really contributed to our run of form and contributed with assists and playing really well. Dara is in exactly the same boat as Conor was. He's training really well. He's showing a good focus and a good attitude. It's kind of the opportunity has probably just not arisen for Dara like it did for Conor. I still see Dara as a fundamental part of this squad. for this season, that it could impact it this season because the way he trains, he's always ready. But certainly for the future of the club going forward, he's a massive part of my plans. I like him as a player. He's taking time in understanding what we want from him. But again, we're seeing progressions all the time from what he does in training. I've been really impressed with his attitude from him during difficult times as well. It's not easy for a player to be out of a squad. It's not easy for a player not to be playing football. And when we don't have our under-21 team where they can gain minutes, then it's really difficult. But I've been really pleased with how he's approached that, how he's kind of conducted himself. And, you know, I keep telling him that I see him at this club for long term.
I suppose, Mark, it's rarely these days where you come up against a 20-plus goal striker. There's a few of them in League One, like Dion Charles, but you're coming up against another one now this weekend in Kobe Bishop, who has been banging goals left, right and centre for Portsmouth. Obviously, you prepare for Portsmouth and you prepare for the team as such, but when a player is on that rich vein of form and he is nearly on 20 goals a season, does extra sort of detail and examination go in to try and stop him? Because obviously one sniff for Kobe, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, of course we're aware of certain players and what the threat is. Luckily for us, and I feel we're in a real good position at the minute with the players we have available on our defensive line. So I think that helps us deal with a player like that a little bit better. We've got experience in that back line as well now. But yeah, of course you go into every game. I would never ever go around and totally change what we want to do for one player, but there needs to be an awareness of, hang on a sec, this player can hurt us if given these opportunities. So we have to minimise those opportunities for a player like that. We have to set up in a way where we can stop the feed into him, the passes into him, but also when it goes into him, I know he's a really strong player and I use him as a link player as well as scoring goals, that we can really, really threaten that. And I think we've got the players on that back line to really combat that and kind of sniff out any danger what he might pose. But yeah, 100%, we have to be mindful of any player who's on that amount of goals.
I suppose, Mark, you have a striker as well who's in confidence at the moment, who's in a rich vein of form himself in Jonathan Lecco. And do you almost feel that confidence around the training ground? Is he bubbly? Is he sort of full of life at the moment in terms of attitude? Because obviously strikers, their positivity, their morale when goals are going in the net, it obviously has a knock-on effect. Do you feel that lately in the last week or two with Jonathan that there's a real sort of buzz and excitement around him?
I think Jonathan has a personality where he's like that all the time. You know, there's been periods this season where things haven't been going well for us as a team, and it's kind of, you know, the players have always been positive. So you can imagine how the feeling is now when we're on the back of 3 wins and a draw as well, so 4-game unbeaten run. That the positivity is even more so. But there's always been that air of positivity around the training ground. And Jonathan's a really excitable character. Is laughing and joking. But no, there's nothing different from him really. Having scored the goals, that's his personality in general anyway. He's very likeable. He's very happy-go-lucky. Sometimes I have to jump on top of him to keep on top of things a little bit more. But no, he's always smiling. He's always happy to be out on the training pitch. So, you know, if we can keep him scoring goals, then hopefully that'll be good for the team.
I suppose, Mark, I asked this question to Gareth Ainsworth there last week, so I'll ask it to you yourself, the QPR manager. You're roughly QPR in the same position as ye are in terms of the championship. 1 or 2 wins should secure their sort of status. But I asked Gareth in terms of, does he had one eye on terms of next year, in terms of during the summer, in terms of assessing the squad? Did he have ideas of, and he was taught me that you have to constantly plan. You have to plan for now, you have to plan for midterm, and you have to plan for long term. Is that the same with you for MK Dons? Have you already got inklings in terms of the summer? You mightn't say them, but do you have that sort of preparation in terms of a long-term sort of goal as well? Or are you just thinking, right, get to the end of the season and reevaluate? Or do you have to sort of reevaluate as you go on the job?
I think it'd be it'd be silly to leave it till the end of the season and not have any thoughts in your mind about the longer term stuff into next season. So yes, we have one eye on what possibly could be the case. You never kind of like speaking about that too much, because ultimately all our focus is on the next game and achieving the goal. Even when I came into the club, there was clear long-term aims, what I wanted to achieve, medium-term aims and short-term aims, and we're still on them short-term aims, really focusing on that at the minute. But yes, we've got to start the planning going, and working with Liam and the chairman and Simon about pre-season, potential players, squad, what it's going to look like. Those conversations are happening now, of course, because you'd be silly not to have those conversations. But ultimately, everything is drawn back quickly then towards what we need to do, because it's really important that we never lose focus on what the next game is. Where can we get the next 3 points from? How are we going to do that? How are we going to deal with the opposition? How are we going to exploit them? That takes a lot of time and effort from all members of staff. So yes, the full focus is on the now, but yeah, we do have an eye on what we're going to do in the summer with different eventualities.
And final question from me, Mark. In terms of the standard of League One, we all know about some of the quality of some of the big teams that are in there, the likes of Ipswich Town, the likes of Derby County, Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday. Do you personally, as a manager that is competing in League One, do you see much of a difference between the standard of the Championship and League One? Do you think there is a bit of a gap there? I spoke to Grant McCann about this, and he's an experience of Peterborough and Hull, and he didn't think roughly that there's too much of a leap. What's your own sort of opinion on it?
Well, I think, listen, there's different clubs within each division where I think there's the kind of pulls apart a little bit as regards to finances and calibre of players. What I've been really impressed with is the standard in League One since I've come down. But there'll always be gaps because of the financial implications, particularly in the Championship, when teams are coming down from the Premier League and you've got extra finances and things like that. So there is going to be a little bit of a gulf. But I think certainly the level in League One I've been really impressed with. I think the challenge for me as a manager in League One is coming up against different styles all the time and dealing with things. We've played against Ipswich, who play a different way, to going to Accrington Stanley, who are really effective at what they do, and having to adjust your game towards that. Same again with Wickham. What we faced there, we had to deal with a lot of set plays and a lot of direct play, and that's no disrespect or anything. That's just a kind of an approach we have to deal with. And then we're going to go against Portsmouth and deal with a different type of football. So as a manager, for me and my staff, it's really challenging because we have to adapt all the time and we have to have players who are adaptable. But I've been really impressed with the level. But in any division, there'll always be that kind of separation between the top and the bottom teams. So there is a little bit of a gap, I think, in my opinion. But I've been really impressed with the football I've seen in League One this year, and I think if we can cope with the different approaches that teams bring to you, and you can have an idea of how to combat that, but also impact how you play and trust how you play. And I think I go back to the Wickham game last week where we went 2-1 down, and we had a real belief and courage from a set of players on the pitch to continue to play our way, to want the ball, to actually build our possession, to not panic and go long. We actually built our possession and got ourselves back into the game. So yeah, I think there's some good teams. I think there is gaps, but I've been really impressed.